In this video, we're going to do a little interview preparation. We're going to review common interview questions and prepare your responses. Many of the responses that we're going to use are based on something called the S.T.A.R method. It's a way to sort of order your answers in a way that tell a story to the interviewer about your activities at another job or experiences that you've had in your life that might apply to the job that you're now interviewing for. Your goal is to try to determine what you'll be asked in an interview and to compose responses that focus on specific examples and accomplishments. A good tool for remembering your responses is to put them in a story form that you can tell in an interview. Consider using the S.T.A.R method interview technique. S.T.A.R is an acronym. S.T.A.R. The S in S.T.A.R reminds us of situation. Describe a situation that you were in or a task that you needed to accomplish. This situation can be from a previous job, from a volunteer experience, or any relevant event. Task, this is the T in S.T.A.R. Task, what were you working toward? What was the task that you were given? Or what was the task that you performed in that situation? Action, that's the A in S.T.A.R. Describe the actions that you took to address the situation with an appropriate amount of detail and keep the focus on you. What specific steps did you take and what was your contribution? Result, that's the R. Describe an outcome from your actions and don't be shy about taking credit for your behavior. What happened? How did the event end? What did you accomplish? What did you learn? Make sure your answer contains multiple positive results. So this is an example of the S.T.A.R method that I sort of made up for my own job experience. I'll just read it for you. Situation. The Department of Labor required the Center of Hope to convert workers who had qualified for sub-minimum wage to $11 an hour. Since paid hours were going to be cut, it was decided that the department would begin holding job readiness classes to fill the time that was being cut out of actual paid jobs. Okay, so task or my challenge. My challenge was to generate new lesson plans, curriculum, class materials, class tracking sheets, all of which would be understood by instructors and students alike. Action. I designed 12 months of curriculum whereby each month a different theme that was promoted by CBS values and goals to increase individuals' independence in the community. I also set up individual training sessions for the job coaches to explain new training system, lesson plans, and tracking sheets. Result, the Center of Hope now has a thriving CBS job readiness training program that continues to grow and change to fit the needs of the company and the individuals it serves. Now, these are the top 10 interview questions that I've been able to find online. They may vary a little bit in the way they're worded, so I've given some examples here of where they may be a little bit different in the wording, but the basic gist is pretty much the same. So it's top 10 interview questions and how you should answer them. Number 1, tell me about yourself. It's a basic conversation starter. So when they first meet you, they're going to want to know about you. But you're not having a normal conversation, obviously. It's a job interview. This is one of the first questions you are likely to be asked. Be prepared to talk about yourself and why you're an ideal candidate for the position. The interviewer wants to know why you're an excellent fit for the job. So you're going to share some experiences that are personal, but also bringing it back to why you're good for the job. You can start by sharing some of your personal interests and experiences that don't relate to work, such as my favorite hobby or brief account of where you grew up, your education, and what motivates you. Then bring it back around to why you're a good fit for this job. And this is another example that I just used for my own personal experience. As a social services professional, I find the best way for me to de-stress when I'm not working is to spend quality time with my wife and kids. I'm also active in my church where I lead confirmation classes. I also teach karate at one of the state's largest karate schools. The skills I developed there, creating lesson plans and curriculum, as well as training staff and others to run classes, have been vital skills which have helped me to design and grow the current community-based day sports program for the Center of Hope. So see how I began with I started with my professional career. I went a little bit into my personal life, and then how those skills that I've learned elsewhere have been important for the current job I'm doing, or maybe the job that I'm applying to. Number two, why do you want this job? And variations of this may be, why are you good for this position? What would you like to accomplish if you were hired? This interview question gives you the opportunity to show the interviewer that you know about the job and the company. So take the time beforehand to thoroughly research the company. Take the time beforehand to thoroughly research the company and its products, services, and mission. Be specific about what makes you a good fit for this role, and mention aspects of the company and position that appeal to you most. If you can, make it personal. So you're going to want to, wherever you're applying to, go online, look at their website, what's on their website, so what's important for their company. So make sure you're familiar with it. If, you're not the greatest reader in the world, you can definitely have a trusted friend or staff member go over with you. But make sure you are basically familiar with the company. You definitely will look up if they have a careers tab. You definitely want to look up the job you're applying for and be very familiar with what it is and what they're doing and why you think you'd be great for it. So here's my example answer. Having two children with disabilities, this field is personal to me. I'm a passionate advocate for them and wonder what kind of services will be available for them when they leave school and must make their way into the world as adults. I guess you could say that I have a vested interest in this company already, as it's very possible my own children may need the kind of services that the Center of Hope provides. I know that I would see my own kids in each of the individuals that I serve, and while every individual has their own journey and unique experiences, my experiences with my own children and navigating things like IEP, DDS, and Social Security have given me an invaluable window into many of the struggles that people with disabilities face. Number three, why should I hire you? This is pretty much like the other one. Are you the best candidate for the job? The hiring manager wants to know whether you have the required qualifications. I believe my experience is almost perfectly aligned with your requirements that you asked for your job listing. I've worked for the janitorial team at the Center of Hope for 3 years, doing the janitorial work task, and have extensive training regarding proper PPE use and cleaning techniques. I have also worked well with many other different people and supervisors as part of teams. That's the activity to get the job done, and that was the result. So again, anytime you can put it in story form, and again, we'll be using the STAR method throughout this whole thing to kind of tell your story. Just like every other story, there's a beginning, there's a conflict, there's a middle, and an end. So, what is your greatest strength? When you're answering this question, remember to show rather than tell. Remember, we talked about telling a story. For example, rather than stating that you are an excellent problem solver, instead use a STAR method to tell a story that demonstrates this, ideally drawing on a story from your personal experience. Example, in my time at the Center of Hope working in Norris production, one of my greatest strengths has been the ability to stay on task. When I'm filling Candyland, I am able to just focus on the job at hand, and the time flies, and I get lots of work done. What is your greatest weakness? Do your best to frame your answers around positive aspects of your skills and ability as an employee, turning seeming weaknesses into strengths. In addition to learning whether you've got the right skills and experience, the hiring manager wants to know whether you can take on challenges and learn new tasks. You can also share examples of areas where you have improved, providing specific instances on how you recognize weakness and take steps to correct it. Example answer. I used to be really time challenged. When I first started working, I struggled to get to work on time. I learned to set multiple alarms for when I needed to get up or to finish tasks. And this has helped me to stay accountable for what time it is and when I need to be to work. As a result, I haven't been to work late in over a year. So that could be one possible thing. But you really just need to think hard about, where have you grown, where have you come from, and it's okay to admit that you've made mistakes in the past, as long as you can demonstrate that you've learned from them and improved. No employer is looking for the perfect candidate necessarily as a human being, but they definitely want to know that you can grow. Why do you want to leave or have left your job? You need to give an answer that's honest and reflects your specific circumstances but keeps it positive. The interviewer wants to know why you left your job and why you want to work for their company. When asked why you are moving from your current position, stick with the facts, be direct, and focus on your answer on the future. Example. I've grown a lot at the Senator Hope. They've really helped me develop my skills in a very safe environment. So much so that I am confident that I can rise to the challenge of working at a company like this one in the community. So you don't want to badmouth your previous employer. It's okay to be honest while you're moving on, but if you can put that in the most positive light possible, no one wants to listen to you complain on an interview about your previous position. The money question. This is number 7. What are your salary expectations? What are you looking for in terms of salary? Questions about money are always tricky to answer. You don't want to sell yourself short or ask for more than they're willing to pay. Do your research before the meeting so that you'll be prepared to name a salary range if you're asked. There are several free online calculators like glassdoor.com/know your worth. These can provide you with reasonable range based on your job title, employer, and experience, skills, and location. So, if you can't remember this particular website, you can just Google the position title that you're applying for, the town that you're in, maybe even the company that you're applying for, and then type in, something like, what salary can I expect? Google's great that way. How do you handle stress and pressure? What do you do when things don't go smoothly at work? How do you deal with difficult situations? Do you work well in high-stress situations? Do you thrive on pressure, or would you prefer a more low-key job? What do you do when something goes wrong? The best way to respond to this question is to share an example of how you have successfully handled stress in a previous situation. The employer wants to know how you handle stress at workplace. You could use, again, the S.T.A.R method here to talk about a stressful situation, the task that you had to perform, the action that you took, and what were the results that were positive based on your actions. Describe a difficult situation or project and how you handled it. And again, here's a very easy one that's a behavior-based question, so they're asking you the same thing. Now, you don't have to come up with a different situation for every one of these questions. You can circle back to that one that you did go through, so it's not like you have to remember a million different situations or 10 different situations for each of these questions. But that's just as long as you're using it to answer the question. What are your goals for the future? Are you a job hopper? Or do you plan on staying with the company at least a while? Do your plans for the future match the career path for someone typically hired for this position? This question is designed to find out if you're going to stick around or move on as soon as you find a better opportunity. Keep your answer focused on the job and the company and reiterate to the interviewer that the position aligns with your long-term goals. So they just want to make sure that you're serious about wanting this job. So if they say, "What are your plans for your future?" or "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" I hope that the answer is that you find yourself at this company, maybe improving your skills or um, becoming a better employee for them. Uh, they don't want to hear that, I'm going to try this for 6 months and, and if I don't like it, I'm just going to quit. Just make sure that they know that you're around for the long term because they don't want to waste time and energy training you if you're not going to be around. So let's review the STAR method. Okay, so remember S in STAR. Tell about a situation you faced at another job, volunteer, or even personal experience. T. Tell about a task or a problem or challenge. A. What action did you take to face the challenge? R. What was the positive result because of your actions? How did you make it better? That's the end of today's lesson. Feel free to comment. I'll post this in Google Classroom too, or the link. So feel free to comment, ask me questions. You could also shoot me a message. I think most of you have my email through the CBDS reminders that I send you. So if you have any questions or comments, or if you really liked this or didn't like it, definitely let me know. As always, my goal is to make relevant trainings for you guys and things that you can use to improve your employment skills. So I definitely welcome constructive criticism. You know, if you say, "Dan, I really like that for this reason," or "Dan, I really didn't like this or that," um, totally appropriate. I prefer you said that to me in private, obviously, but I definitely want to hear either way if you liked it, if you didn't like it. All right, we'll talk to you guys on the next video.